Hello viewers, welcome back to my another video. In this video I am going to discuss about library functions and header files. I separate my video into two parts. This is the first part. So without wasting any more time, let's start our today's video. Here I made a table. Here name of functions, here the name of header files, and here the syntax and uses of these functions. For printf we use stdio.h header file. And the syntax for printf function is like this. We use printf in two different cases. This is the first one and this is the second one. We use this one to display a number from an equation. Here %d or %f used according to data type. For integer type data we use %d. For float type data we use %f. And for double type data we use %lf. When we take numbers from a user, then we use printf like this. For scanf we use stdio.h header file. For scanf we use syntax like this. In the quotation we use %d or %f according to data type. After comma we use address and then the variable name where you want to store value. Note that we use scanf to take values from user. For square root function we use math.h header file and we use syntax for square root like this. Write down sqrt, put first bracket, and in the first bracket write down the variable name where you want to store the value. For power function we use math.h header file. For m to the power n, the syntax of power function is like this. Now I will discuss briefly library functions and header files, solving a question. Here I have to display two values, a value for root something and a value for something to the power something. For example, root 9 and 9 to the power 2. To solve this question, I open my code block. As I have to display the values, so I have to use printf function. To use printf function, I have to use stdio.h header file. So here I include stdio.h header file. As I have to find out square root and power, so I have to use square root and power function. For square root and power function, we use math.h header file. So include math.h header file. Then take integer main, this is the main body. Here I have to define numbers 9 and 2. So I need two different variables. I take integer type variables number 1, number 2, if I square root any number, there can be two types of values, integer or float type. To store square root value, I take s, and to store power value, I take p variable. Now I have to enter two numbers. To display this sentence, I use printf function. Use scanf to take the value from user. As my first number is integer type, so I use %d. Put a comma and then give the address. That means I want to store the first number in num1 variable. To take the second number, follow the same process. I want square root of number 1 and the value of square root number 1 will store in s variable. So give the equation s equal sqrt of number 1, put semicolon. Now I have to display the square root value. To display the value, I have to use printf function. Here I use %f as my data type is float. Put a comma and then write down the variable name. I also have to display the power value. So write down the equation. I want to calculate number 1 to the power number 2. So take number 1 first, put comma and then take number 2. To display power value, take printf. As my data type is float, so take %f, put comma and write down the variable. My program is completed. Build and run the program. Enter the first number. Enter the second number. Here shows the value of square root is 3. If we square root 9, we get 3. And the power value is 81. As I take number 1 to the power number 2. So our program is successfully completed. Hope you understand the entire program. If you have any question, then comment it. I will try to solve your question. Thanks for watching.